Daniel Hayes stood on the command deck of the Lunar Defense Station, watching the impossible unfold before his eyes. 300 alien warships had appeared in Earth's orbit just 20 minutes ago. They had come from nowhere, materializing out of quantum space like ghosts stepping through walls. The ships were massive. Each one was 3 times larger than humanity's biggest warship. They arranged themselves in perfect formation above Earth, blocking out the stars with their dark hulls. Their weapons were already charging, energy signatures lighting up every sensor on the station. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," Lieutenant Brandon Cooper said from the communications station. His young face was pale but steady. "It's in standard galactic common. They want us to hear this." Daniel nodded, put it through all channels. The flickered to life. An alien appeared on the screen. Its skin was pale blue, almost white, with silver markings running across its face. Its eyes were completely black, without any visible iris or pupil. It wore armor that gleamed like polished metal, decorated with symbols that spoke of authority and power. "Humans of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was cold and flat, without emotion. "I am High Arbiter of the Empire. We have returned to claim what is rightfully ours." Daniel felt his jaw tighten. Admiral Brooks stood beside him, the older man's weathered face showing no reaction. They had fought together for 20 years. Daniel knew his mentor well enough to see the anger hidden behind those calm eyes. "For 50,000 of your years, this world has been our property," continued. "Our ancestors seeded this planet with primitive genetic stock. You are the descendants of that experiment. Therefore, you belong to us. The Empire has returned to reclaim its colony." The alien paused, letting the words sink in. On the command deck, nobody moved, nobody spoke. "You have 48 of your hours to prepare for integration into the Empire," said. "Lower your defenses, gather your leaders, submit to authority. If you comply, the transition will be peaceful. If you resist, we will bombard your cities from orbit until nothing remains but ash and memory." The transmission ended, the went dark. For a long moment, silence filled the command deck. Then spoke, his voice quiet but firm. "Get me Ambassador Lisa Morgan, now." Daniel turned to his tactical display. His mind was already working, analyzing the alien formation. 20 years of military experience had taught him to see patterns. They had arranged their fleet in a classic siege formation, surrounding Earth like a cage. But there were gaps, small ones, but they were there. "They're overconfident," Daniel said softly. "Look at their positioning, they've left their flanks exposed." Moved closer, studying the display. "They don't think we're a threat." "No," Daniel agreed. "They think we're still primitive. They think we're the same species they left behind 50,000 years ago." Ambassador Lisa Morgan arrived 15 minutes later. She was a tall woman in her 40s, with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor that never broke under pressure. Daniel had worked with her on first-contact situations before. She was one of the best diplomats humanity had ever produced. "What do we know about them?" she asked immediately. "Not much," Daniel admitted. "Doctor is pulling up everything we have on ancient alien artifacts found on Earth. There are some matches. Stone structures in Peru, underground facilities in Antarctica. The dates match what they're claiming." Lisa nodded slowly. "So they're telling the truth about being here before." "Maybe," said, "but that doesn't give them the right to own us now." "No," Lisa agreed. "It doesn't." She looked at where Earth hung in space like a blue marble. "What are our chances if they attack?" Daniel didn't sugarcoat it. "In a straight fight, we lose. They have 300 warships. We have 47 combat-ready vessels in range. Their technology is more advanced. Their weapons hit harder. Their shields are stronger." "Then we don't fight them straight," said. Lisa smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Good, because I have a message to deliver." She moved to the communications station. "Open a channel, all frequencies. I want every ship in their fleet to hear this." Brandon's fingers flew across the controls. "Channel open, Ambassador." Lisa stood straight, her voice clear and strong. "This is Ambassador Lisa Morgan of the United Earth Government. We have received your message, High Arbiter. We understand your claim. We acknowledge that your ancestors may have visited Earth in the distant past." She paused, letting the moment build. "But we reject your authority absolutely. Humanity bows to no empire. We answer to no distant throne. We are not your property. We are not your experiment. We are free people, and we will remain free." Daniel watched the screens showing the fleet. He imagined the confusion spreading through their command ships right now. You say you created us, Lisa continued. Perhaps that's true. Perhaps your genetic engineering gave our ancient ancestors a push toward intelligence, but you left us behind. You abandoned us on a harsh world and forgot we existed. What we became on our own. What we built with our own hands. What we achieved through our own strength. Her voice hardened. Earth is not your colony, it is our home, and we will defend it. You have 48 hours to withdraw peacefully, Lisa said. After that, we will consider any vessel in Earth's space to be a hostile force. We will respond accordingly. She looked directly into the camera. High Arbiter, you and your empire have made a grave mistake. You assumed we were still primitive. You assumed we were weak. You assumed we would surrender without a fight. Lisa's smile was fierce now. You assumed wrong. Humanity learned to survive on one of the harshest worlds in the galaxy. We learned to fight by fighting each other for thousands of years. We learned to adapt, to innovate, to never give up. You are about to discover what that means. This is your only warning, she finished. Leave now or face consequences you cannot imagine. The transmission ended. The command deck was silent again. Then started laughing. It was a rough, harsh sound. That ought to get their attention. Daniel was already moving back to his tactical station. Brandon, get me all squadron commanders. I want every pilot on standby. Alert the shipyards on Mars. Tell them we need everything that can fly and shoot. Sir, Brandon said, do you really think we can beat them? Daniel looked at the young pilot. Brandon was only 24, fresh out of the academy. He had never seen real combat. He had grown up in a time of peace, when humanity's biggest threat was pirates and trade disputes. I think we're about to teach these a very important lesson, Daniel said. Never underestimate humanity, never assume we'll surrender, and never ever come to our home and tell us we belong to someone else. Move to stand beside him. What's the plan? We hit them hard and fast, Daniel said. We use every advantage we have. Speed, stealth, tactics they've never seen before. We make them bleed for every inch of space. We show them that humans don't just fight to win. We fight because we refuse to kneel. Through the fleet hung in space, dark and menacing. They were waiting for humanity to surrender. They were waiting for compliance. They were going to wait a very long time. Daniel pulled up the tactical plan he had been working on for years. Every military officer had nightmare scenarios they prepared for. An alien invasion had always been his. He had never expected to actually use these plans, but he had them ready. Operation Wildfire, he said quietly. Authorization Hayes Delta 7. Doctor had not slept in 36 hours. She stood in the research center deep beneath Luna's surface, surrounded by holographic displays showing ancient artifacts from Earth. Her team had pulled every piece of data they had on prehistoric alien contact. The evidence was overwhelming. Here, she said, pointing to a three-dimensional model of a stone structure from Peru. This was built 12,000 years ago. The precision is impossible for Bronze Age humans. Look at these cuts. They're molecular-level accurate. Daniel Hayes stood beside her, studying the evidence. Admiral Brooks was there too, along with Ambassador Lisa Morgan and a dozen other high-ranking officials. They needed answers, and they needed them fast. Show me more, Daniel said. Swiped through her displays. Antarctica. We found a facility under the ice 5 years ago. We thought it was just another ancient ruin, but look at this. She pulled up genetic data. We found biological samples. The DNA matches genetic markers exactly. So they were telling the truth, Lisa said. They really were here. Yes, confirmed, but that's not the whole story. She pulled up a timeline. The presence on Earth ended abruptly 50,000 years ago. They didn't just leave, they ran. Leaned forward. Ran from what? We found records in the Antarctic facility, said. Partial records badly damaged, but enough to piece together what happened. The Empire was fighting a massive war. They were losing. They had to pull back all their forces from the frontier worlds. She highlighted Earth on the galactic map. Earth was a genetic experiment. They seeded 12 worlds with modified humans. They wanted to see which environments would produce the best results. Earth was considered the harshest test case. Daniel said quietly. Exactly, agreed. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous predators, diseases, natural disasters. They thought nothing could thrive here. They left behind a small population of genetically engineered humans and planned to check back in a few thousand years. She pulled up data from the other 11 worlds. Look what happened to the other sites. 6 colonies died out completely. Environmental collapse, predators' disease. 3 colonies survived but never advanced beyond hunter-gatherer stage. 2 colonies developed basic agriculture but nothing more. And Earth, Lisa asked. Smiled. Earth's humans thrived. We spread across the planet. We developed agriculture independently in 6 different locations. We built civilizations. We created art, music, mathematics, philosophy. We went from stone tools to space travel in just 10,000 years. Daniel studied the data carefully. Why? What made Earth different? The harshness, said. Earth didn't just challenge us, it forced us to adapt or die. Every generation had to be smarter, tougher, more creative than the last. We didn't just survive, we conquered our environment. She pulled up atmospheric data, geological records, biological surveys. Earth has more biodiversity than most garden worlds. We have extreme weather patterns. We have earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, floods. We have predators that evolved alongside us, constantly pushing us to develop better tools and strategies. We were forged in fire, said. Yes, agreed. They made a mistake. They thought they were creating a controlled experiment. What they actually did was create the ultimate survival scenario. Only the strongest, most adaptable humans survived, generation after generation for 50,000 years. She looked at Daniel. They fought their war. It lasted 3,000 years. They nearly went extinct. When they finally won, they were exhausted. They had lost most of their technology. It took them 45,000 years to rebuild. And they forgot about us, Lisa said. Not forgot, corrected. They assumed we had died out like the other colonies or remained primitive. They had no reason to think otherwise. After all, we were just an experiment, disposable genetic stock on a hostile world. Daniel felt anger rising in his chest. They left us to die. They did, said, but we didn't die, we thrived, and that's going to be their biggest surprise. A priority alert flashed on the communications panel. Brandon Cooper's voice came through. Dr. Commander Hayes, you need to see this. They are broadcasting again. They hurried to the command deck. On the High Arbiter appeared again. His expression showed mild annoyance, like a parent dealing with a disobedient child. Humans, he said, your defiance is noted but irrelevant. You speak of freedom and independence. These are meaningless concepts. We created you. We own you. This is biological and legal fact. He gestured and images appeared beside him. These are the other 11 colony worlds we seeded. On 6 worlds, our experiments failed completely. On 3 worlds, the populations exist but remain primitive, living in simple villages, worshipping us as gods when we visit. On 2 worlds, basic civilizations developed, but they accepted our authority immediately when we returned. His black eyes stared out from the screen. You alone resist. This puzzles us. You should be grateful we have returned to guide you. Instead, you threaten war. This is foolish. We will demonstrate our power, he continued. In 1 hour, we will destroy one of your orbital stations, the one you call Shepard Station 7. We will target only the station, not Earth itself. Consider this a merciful warning. The transmission ended. Shepard Station 7, Daniel said immediately. How many people? 247, Brandon reported. Mostly civilian scientists and their families. Get them out, Daniel ordered. Full evacuation now. On it, Brandon said, his fingers flying across his console. Lisa turned to Daniel. This is it. They're going to prove they can hurt us. Yes, Daniel agreed, and we're going to prove we can hurt them back. Pulled up the tactical display. The fleet hasn't moved. They're still in the same formation, still overconfident. Daniel studied the display carefully. 20 years of combat experience had taught him to see opportunities where others saw only threats. They had positioned their fleet in a classic siege formation. It was textbook perfect. It was also predictable. They haven't fought a real war in 1,000 years, Daniel said. Look at their movements. Everything is by the book. No improvisation, no flexibility. We've fought each other for our entire history, added. Humans learned warfare the hard way. We learned that the book gets you killed. We learned to adapt, to think, to do the unexpected. Daniel pulled up Operation Wildfire. Here's what we do. Captain Torres and the Nightfall are already in position. They've been running dark since they arrived. Lisa looked surprised. The Nightfall is here. I thought she was on patrol near Jupiter. She was, Daniel said. I called her back the moment those ships appeared. They don't know she exists. Their sensors can't detect our stealth technology. He zoomed in on the fleet. They're going to destroy Shepard Station 7. While they do that, they'll be focused on the show of force. They'll want us to see their power. That's when hits them. With what? Lisa asked. Quantum disruption mines, Daniel said. Engineer has been working on them for 3 years. They create localized quantum fields that disrupt shield generators. The effect only lasts about 10 minutes, but that's all we need. Smiled, they'll be vulnerable. Exactly, Daniel confirmed. Brandon's fighter squadron will hit them while their shields are down. Fast strikes, precision targeting. We won't destroy their whole fleet, but we'll hurt them. We'll show them we're not helpless. Was studying the data on her tablet. The ships run on fusion cores with quantum shielding. If you can disrupt the shields, their armor is actually fairly weak. They rely too much on their defensive systems. Good, Daniel said. That's what we'll exploit. An hour passed quickly. Shepard Station 7 was evacuated with minutes to spare. The last shuttle cleared the docking bay just as the fleet opened fire. The destruction was quick and absolute. Energy beams lanced through space, striking the station from multiple angles. Metal screamed and tore. The fusion reactor went critical, creating a brief sun in Earth's orbit. Then there was nothing but debris and silence. On the command deck, everyone watched in grim silence. That station had been home to 247 people. Now it was dust and wreckage. Their turn, Daniel said coldly. In space, the Nightfall drifted closer to the fleet. The stealth ship was invisible to their sensors, a ghost moving through the darkness. Captain Torres had served in the Special Operations Fleet for 15 years. She knew how to get close without being seen. Release the mines, she ordered quietly. Small devices ejected from the Nightfall's bay, each one no larger than a basketball. They drifted toward the ships, powered down, completely passive. The sensors swept past them, detecting nothing unusual. The mines reached their targets. 30 warships spread across their formation. The mines activated simultaneously. Quantum fields erupted around the vessels. Their shield generators screamed and failed. Alarms blared across 30 ships as their primary defensive systems went offline. Now, Daniel ordered. Brandon Cooper led his squadron into battle. 24 human fighters, small and fast, accelerated toward the vulnerable ships. They came in low and fast, using debris from Shepard Station as cover. They scrambled to respond, but they were too slow. They had not expected an attack. They had not expected resistance. They had certainly not expected humans to strike back so quickly after losing a station. Brandon's targeting computer locked onto the first ship. Fox 1, he called and fired. The missile streaked through space and struck the warship's exposed hull. The explosion tore through the ship's side, venting atmosphere and debris. Secondary explosions rippled across the vessel as internal systems failed. Around him, the other fighters were firing too. Missiles and energy weapons hammered into the defenseless ships. Armor cracked. Hull plates peeled away. Ships that had seemed invincible moments ago were dying. Shields coming back online, reported from the Nightfall. 10 seconds. All fighters break off, Brandon ordered. His squadron scattered, accelerating away from the fleet at maximum thrust. The shields flickered back to life, but the damage was done. 30 ships were burning. 8 were completely destroyed, torn apart by human weapons. The rest were damaged, limping back into formation. On the command deck, Daniel watched the results scroll across his screen. 50 casualties confirmed dead, hundreds more injured, 8 ships destroyed, 22 ships damaged. The cost to humanity, 1 evacuated station and 0 casualties. Message coming in, Brandon reported. It's. The High Arbiter appeared on screen again. His face showed shock and rage. You dare attack us, you dare strike at the Empire. Daniel stepped forward. You came to our home, you threatened our people, you destroyed our property. Did you think we would do nothing? You are primitives, snarled. You cannot win, we have 300 ships. You had 300 ships, Daniel corrected. Now you have 292, and the 48 hours you gave us? We're giving you the same deadline. Leave Earth's space in 48 hours or we will destroy you all. He leaned closer to the camera. You made a mistake. You thought we were still the primitive humans you left behind 50,000 years ago. But we grew up on a. We learned to fight by fighting each other. We perfected warfare over thousands of years of constant conflict. Daniel's voice was cold and hard. You learned war from books. We learned it by bleeding. You think your ancient fleet makes you strong. We think your ancient fleet makes you predictable. You fight by rules. We fight to win. This is your warning, Daniel finished. Humanity bows to no one, not to you, not to your empire, not to anyone. Leave now while you still can. The transmission ended. Put a hand on Daniel's shoulder. That was quite a speech. It was the truth, Daniel said. He looked out at the stars, at the fleet that still surrounded Earth. They're going to call for reinforcements now. This just became a real war. Good, said. Let them come. Let them bring their entire empire. We'll show them all the same lesson. Humanity doesn't surrender. The response came faster than expected. High Arbiter broadcast a message to his home world, requesting immediate military support. The transmission was intercepted by Earth's listening posts. Translated it within the hour. They're calling for the Grand Armada, she said, her face pale. It's their ancient war fleet, 1,500 ships. They haven't deployed it in 500 years. Daniel Hayes stood in the command center, studying the intelligence reports. 500 years. That meant they hadn't faced a real threat in half a millennium. They were either incredibly powerful or incredibly lucky. He suspected it was more the latter than the former. How long until the Armada arrives? Admiral Brooks asked. 4 days, said. They're using quantum drives. They'll come straight to Earth. 4 days, Daniel repeated. He looked at his tactical display. The fleet still surrounded Earth, but they had pulled back slightly after the attack. They were being more cautious now. Good. Caution meant respect. Respect meant they were starting to understand. Captain Torres entered the command center. She looked tired but satisfied. The Nightfall had returned to lunar orbit after its successful strike. Her crew was already preparing for the next mission. The fleet is running continuous sensor sweeps, reported. They're looking for stealth ships. They know we have at least one now. Can they detect you? Asked. Not yet, said. But they're adapting. Give them a few more days and they might figure it out. Our stealth technology is good, but it's not magic. Daniel nodded. Then we use you before they adapt. What's the status of Engineer's new weapons? Ready, confirmed. He's developed a modified version of the quantum mines. These ones create a bigger disruption field. They can take down shields on capital ships. How many do we have? 40. Daniel did the math quickly. 40 mines against 292 ships. Not nearly enough to win, but enough to hurt them badly. We need to hit them again before the Grand Armada arrives, Daniel said. If we can reduce their numbers now, we'll have better odds later. Pulled up a tactical map. What about our reinforcements? What's coming from the colonies? Lieutenant Brandon Cooper checked his console. Mars is sending everything they have. Governor Price has mobilized 12 warships and 40 fighters. They'll arrive in 2 days. The outer colonies? Asked. Nothing yet, Brandon said. They're too far away. Even with quantum drives, they won't reach Earth in time. Daniel studied the map. Humanity had spread across 12 worlds since reaching space, but Earth was still the heart of human civilization. Most of the military strength was here. The colonies were young, still building their infrastructure. They couldn't provide much help. We're on our own, Daniel said. We fight with what we have. Ambassador Lisa Morgan had been quiet, listening to the military discussion. Now she spoke up. The subject species are watching. I've been monitoring their communication networks. News of our resistance is spreading. Looked up from her tablet. What kind of reaction are we seeing? Mixed, Lisa said. Some are terrified. They think we're insane to fight the Empire, but others are hopeful. They're wondering if rebellion is possible. If we can stand up to them, maybe they can too. Good, Daniel said. Let them wonder, let them hope. When we win, they'll know it's possible. If we win, corrected gently. When, Daniel insisted. We will win, we have to, because if we don't, humanity becomes slaves, and I'd rather die free than live in chains. The next 48 hours passed in frantic preparation. Every shipyard in Earth's orbit was working at maximum capacity. New missiles were being manufactured. Existing ships were being upgraded. Pilots were being trained for the battles ahead. Brandon Cooper spent those hours in the simulator, running combat drills with his squadron. They practiced attack patterns, evasion maneuvers, emergency procedures. He knew that when the fighting started again, there would be no second chances. One mistake and he would die in the cold vacuum of space. Again, he ordered his wingman. Hit the target faster this time, 3 seconds is too slow. The younger pilot nodded and reset his simulation. Brandon watched critically as the attack run played out. Better, faster, more precise. They were getting good. They would need to be perfect. Engineer barely slept. He moved between his workshop and the weapons testing range, refining the quantum disruption technology. The first generation mines had worked perfectly. The second generation needed to work even better. The problem is range, he explained to Daniel during an inspection. The disruption field only extends about 200 meters. That means our mines have to get really close to the target. Too close. They are watching for them now. Can you fix it? Daniel asked. Rubbed his tired eyes. I'm working on a delivery system, small drones that can carry the mines closer before releasing them. The drones are stealthier than the mines themselves. It should work. Should. Will corrected. It will work. I'll make it work. Daniel put a hand on the engineer's shoulder. I know you will. Take a break. Get some sleep. We need you sharp. Nodded but didn't leave his workshop. Daniel understood. When the survival of humanity was at stake, sleep seemed like a luxury no one could afford. The fleet remained in position around Earth. They had not attacked again. They were waiting for their reinforcements, was playing it safe now. He had been surprised once. He would not allow it to happen again. But playing safe meant being predictable, and predictable enemies were vulnerable enemies. On the third day after the first battle, Daniel gathered his command staff. This is it. We hit them tonight. Before the Grand Armada arrives, we need to reduce their numbers as much as possible. The plan asked. Daniel pulled up a tactical display. Takes the nightfall and close. She deploys new drone-delivered mines, 40 mines targeting their capital ships. When the shields go down, Brandon's squadron hits them hard. What about their response? Lisa asked. They'll scramble fighters, they'll counterattack. We expect that, Daniel said. That's why we're sending 3 full squadrons this time. 72 fighters total. We overwhelm their defenses while they're vulnerable. Brandon looked nervous but determined. What about casualties? We're going to lose people this time. Daniel met his eyes. Yes, we probably will. War costs lives, but if we don't fight now, we lose everything. I'd rather lose some lives in battle than lose all lives to slavery. The room was silent. Everyone understood what was at stake. Launch time is 200 hours, Daniel said. That's when crew alertness is lowest. Their biology requires sleep cycles similar to ours. We hit them when they're tired. Smiled grimly. Hitting people while they sleep, not exactly honorable. Honor doesn't win wars, Daniel said. Victory wins wars, and we need to win. At 200 hours, the Nightfall left lunar orbit. Tors guided her ship through the darkness, running completely silent. The sensors swept across her position but detected nothing. Stealth technology was humanity's greatest advantage, as long as it held. Approaching deployment range, her pilot reported quietly. Release drones, ordered. 40 small drones launched from the Nightfall's bay. Each one carried a quantum disruption mine. They spread out, heading toward 40 different capital ships. The drones were tiny, barely larger than a briefcase. The sensors couldn't detect them. Drones in position, the pilot confirmed. 60 seconds to deployment. Watched her tactical display. 40 green dots moving toward 40 red targets. This was it. This would either work perfectly or fail catastrophically. There was no middle ground. 30 seconds. She could see the ships on her, massive vessels bristling with weapons, each one capable of destroying a human city from orbit, each one about to become vulnerable. 10 seconds. Took a breath. All drones deploy mines on my mark. 3, 2, 1, deploy. The drones released their cargo and immediately retreated. The mines drifted the last few meters to their targets. They attached themselves to the hulls with magnetic clamps. Then they activated. Quantum fields erupted across 40 ships. Shield generators screamed and died. Alarms blared through the fleet as their strongest vessels suddenly became defenseless. All squadrons, attack, Daniel ordered from the command center. 72 human fighters accelerated toward the fleet. They came in fast, using the disruption as cover. Brandon Cooper led his squadron straight at the nearest capital ship. His targeting computer locked on. He fired everything he had. Missiles streaked through space. Energy weapons flashed. The ship tried to maneuver, but it was too slow, too big, too vulnerable. The human weapons struck home, tearing through armor that had seemed impenetrable just moments ago. Around him, the battle erupted into chaos. Human fighters swarmed the vulnerable ships like angry hornets. They tried to respond, launching their own fighters, returning fire with their point defense systems, but they were too slow, too shocked, too unprepared. Brandon watched his squadron destroy 3 ships in the first 2 minutes. The explosions lit up space like small suns. He felt no joy in the destruction, only grim satisfaction. They were winning. Shields coming back online, warned. 2 minutes. All squadrons priority targets, Daniel ordered. Hit the damaged ships, finish what we started. The human fighters focused their fire. Ships that were already wounded became primary targets. They were trying to protect them, moving healthy ships to provide cover. But human tactics had been developed through thousands of years of warfare. They knew how to exploit weakness. They knew how to kill efficiently. By the time the shields came back online, 23 capital ships had been destroyed. 15 more were badly damaged. The fleet had been reduced by more than 10% in a single strike. All squadrons withdraw, Daniel ordered. Don't get greedy, get out now. Brandon led his squadron back toward Luna. Behind them, the fleet was in chaos. Ships were burning, crews were dying, their perfect formation had been shattered. Did we lose anyone? Daniel asked quietly. Checking, Brandon said. His voice was tight. Yes, sir, 8 fighters didn't make it back. 5 confirmed destroyed, 3 missing, presumed destroyed. 8 pilots, 8 lives. Daniel felt the weight of those deaths. He had ordered the attack. He had sent those people to their deaths. That responsibility was his to carry. Get their names, he said. We'll honor them properly when this is over. On the High Arbiter appeared. His face showed fury and disbelief. You primitives dare attack us again? You dare destroy our ships? We dare more than that, Daniel said coldly. We dare to be free, something your empire has forgotten the meaning of. The Grand Armada comes, snarled. 1,500 ships, they will crush you, they will burn your world to ash, you cannot win. Maybe not, Daniel admitted, but we'll make you bleed for every inch, we'll make you pay for every life, and when we're done, your empire will remember Earth. You'll remember that humanity doesn't surrender. You'll remember that some things are worth dying for. He leaned closer to the camera. Freedom is worth dying for, and you're about to learn how hard humans fight when fighting for freedom. The transmission ended. Stood beside Daniel, looking at the tactical display. The fleet had pulled back even further. They were scared now, truly scared. We hurt them, said. We hurt them badly. Yes, Daniel agreed. But the Grand Armada arrives tomorrow. This was just the warm-up. The real battle is still ahead. Looked up from her calculations. Daniel, I've been analyzing the tactics. They're rigid, inflexible. They follow the same patterns every time. What are you thinking? Daniel asked. I'm thinking we can predict them, said. If we know what they're going to do before they do it, we can counter every move. Daniel smiled. It was not a kind smile. Then let's do that. Let's show them what happens when textbook tactics meet real combat experience. The Grand Armada arrived exactly when predicted. 1,500 warships materialized out of quantum space, arranged in perfect military formation. They came like a dark tide, blocking out the stars. Each ship was massive. Each ship was deadly. Together, they represented 5 centuries of military might. Daniel Hayes watched from the Lunar Command Center as the enemy fleet took position around Earth. The tactical display showed the numbers clearly. 1,500 ships plus the 269 that survived the previous battles. Nearly 1,700 enemy vessels total. Humanity's forces were much smaller. 47 combat ships from Earth, 12 more from Mars under Governor Price's command. 72 fighters against 1,700 warships. Those are terrible odds, Lieutenant Brandon Cooper said quietly. Yes, Admiral Brooks agreed. They are, but humans have won battles against terrible odds before. We'll do it again. Ambassador Lisa Morgan was monitoring communication channels from across the galaxy. The news has spread. Every subject species knows about our resistance now. They're watching to see what happens. How are they reacting? Daniel asked. Mixed responses, Lisa said. But I'm seeing something interesting. Resistance movements are starting on 3 of the colony worlds. Small acts of defiance, protests, work stoppages, nothing major yet, but it's starting. Daniel nodded slowly. They're testing the waters, seeing if rebellion is possible. Yes, Lisa confirmed. What we do here will determine what happens across the Empire. If we win, those resistance movements will grow. If we lose, they'll be crushed. Then we can't lose, Daniel said simply. The activated, a new appeared. This one was different from High Arbiter, older with more silver markings on his face. His armor was more elaborate, decorated with medals and symbols of rank. His black eyes showed no emotion at all. I am War Master Al of the Grand Armada, the said. His voice was cold and mechanical. I have come to end this rebellion. High Arbiter requested my assistance because you primitives somehow damaged his fleet. This surprises me. It will not happen again. He paused, letting his words sink in. You have one final opportunity to surrender. Submit to authority. Accept your place as Imperial subjects. Do this now and your punishment will be minimal. Refuse, and I will destroy every human settlement in this system, starting with your capital cities on Earth. You have 1 hour to decide, Al continued. After that, we begin orbital bombardment. Your cities will burn, your people will die, all because of foolish pride and misguided defiance. The transmission ended. Looked at Daniel. Well, what's our answer? You know our answer, Daniel said. The same answer we've given from the start, no. Lisa stepped forward. I'll make the broadcast, this should come from me. She moved to the communications station. Open all channels, I want the entire galaxy to hear this. Brandon activated the transmission. All channels open, Ambassador. Lisa stood straight, her voice clear and strong. War Master Al, this is Ambassador Lisa Morgan of Earth. We have received your ultimatum. We have considered your offer. Our answer is no. She looked directly into the camera. You call us primitives, you call our resistance foolish. You threaten to destroy our cities and kill our people. You think this will make us surrender. You're wrong. Humanity has faced extinction before, Lisa continued. We've survived ice ages. We've survived plagues. We've survived wars that killed millions. We survived because we refused to give up. We survived because we value freedom more than safety. We survived because we bow to no one. Her voice hardened. You come here with your ancient fleet. You threaten us with destruction, but you don't understand what you're facing. Earth is not a garden world. Earth is we grew up fighting for survival every single day. We learned warfare by fighting each other for thousands of years. We perfected tactics that you can't even imagine. You have 1,500 ships, Lisa said. You think that makes you strong, but we have something more powerful than ships. We have the will to fight. We have the courage to die free rather than live as slaves. We have the determination to resist no matter what the cost. She leaned closer to the camera. War Master Al, you made the same mistake made. You underestimated us. You assumed we would be easy to conquer. You thought superior numbers would guarantee victory. But victory isn't about numbers. Victory is about will, and humanity's will cannot be broken. This is our home, Lisa finished. This is our world. These are our people. We will defend them with everything we have. We will fight you with every weapon at our disposal. We will resist until our last breath. And when we're done, your empire will remember Earth forever. You'll remember the day you tried to enslave humanity. You'll remember the day you learned that some species cannot be conquered. Our answer is no. Now get off our world. The transmission ended. The command center was silent for a moment. Then started laughing. That was magnificent. Daniel was already moving to his tactical station. They'll attack within the hour, maybe sooner. We need to be ready. Hurried over with her analysis. I've been studying the Grand Armada's formation. It's a classic siege pattern. Exactly the same pattern they used 500 years ago in their last major war. Predictable, Daniel said. Very predictable, agreed. They're creatures of habit. They follow doctrine absolutely. That's their weakness. Daniel pulled up the tactical plan he had been refining for days. Then we exploit it. We do what they don't expect. We fight like humans, not like. Governor Price contacted them from his flagship. The Mars colonial fleet had just arrived in Earth orbit. His face appeared on the screen, tired but determined. "Commander Hayes, Mars colonial forces reporting for duty. Where do you need us?" "Governor Price," Daniel said. "Good to see you. Take position on Earth's far side. When the battle starts, I need you to hit their flanks, fast and hard." "Understood," confirmed. "My people are ready. We know what's at stake." Brandon Cooper was in the pilot-ready room with his squadron. 72 pilots, all volunteers, all knowing they might not survive the day. He looked at their young faces and felt a weight of responsibility. "This is it," he told them. "This is the fight we've been training for. They outnumber us badly. They have better technology. They have more firepower, but we have something they don't have. We have courage. We have skill. We have the determination to protect our home." He looked each pilot in the eye. "Some of us won't make it back. That's the truth. War kills people. But what we do today will echo across the galaxy. If we win, we prove that humans can't be conquered. We prove that freedom is stronger than tyranny. We inspire every oppressed species in the Empire to rise up." "So fly well," Brandon said. "Fight hard, make every shot count. And remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for everyone who ever dreamed of being free." The pilots stood and saluted. Brandon returned the salute, feeling pride and fear in equal measure. Captain Torres prepared the Nightfall for its most dangerous mission yet. Her stealth ship would penetrate deep into the formation. She would deliver quantum disruption mines directly to their command ships. It was nearly impossible. She was going to do it anyway. "Ready?" her pilot asked. "No," admitted, "but we're doing it anyway." Engineer had one final surprise ready. A weapon he had been developing in secret for years. He called it the Cascade missile. Instead of a single warhead, it carried hundreds of smaller warheads that would spread out and target multiple ships simultaneously. "It's never been tested in actual combat," he told Daniel, "but the simulations look good." "How many did you build?" Daniel asked. "5," said. "That's all I had time for." "5 will have to be enough." The hour passed. War Master Al broadcast one final message. "Your time is over. You had your chance to surrender. You chose death, so be it." The Grand Armada began moving into attack formation. 1,700 ships advancing on Earth like a wall of death. Their weapons charged. Their targeting systems locked onto human cities below. "All forces engage," Daniel ordered. The Battle of Earth began. Human ships accelerated to meet the fleet. 47 warships against 1,700. It should have been suicide. But Daniel had no intention of fighting fair. "Fire the Cascade missiles," he ordered. 5 missiles launched from Earth's orbital platforms. They streaked toward the formation. They detected them and opened fire. Point defense systems destroyed 3 missiles. 2 got through. The Cascade missiles detonated in the center of the formation. Hundreds of smaller warheads spread out like a deadly cloud. Each warhead locked onto a different target. Each warhead found a vulnerable spot. Explosions rippled through the fleet. Ships rocked from impacts. Shields flickered and failed. Armor cracked. 15 ships were destroyed in seconds. 30 more were damaged. "Their formation is breaking," reported. "They weren't expecting that." "Hit them now," Daniel ordered, "before they recover." Brandon led his fighter squadron into the chaos. They targeted damaged ships, finishing what the Cascade missiles started. Human tactics emphasized speed and precision. They didn't try to fight the entire fleet. They picked targets, destroyed them, and moved on before they could respond. Price's colonial fleet struck from the opposite side. The Mars ships came in fast and low, targeting supply vessels and support ships. Every transport destroyed weakened the entire fleet. Torres guided the Nightfall through the middle of the battle. Ships were dying around her, but her stealth systems kept her invisible. She reached the command ship, Al's flagship. She deployed her quantum disruption mines directly against its hull. The mines activated. The flagship's shields died. "All batteries target the flagship," Daniel ordered. Every human ship in range opened fire. Missiles and energy weapons converged on Al's vessel. The commander tried to retreat, but he was too exposed, too vulnerable. The flagship exploded in a massive fireball. Al died without ever understanding how primitive humans had killed him. "Command ship destroyed," Brandon reported. "They are confused. They don't know who's in charge now." "Keep hitting them," Daniel said. Don't let them reorganize. The battle raged for hours. Human ships darted in and out of the formation, striking and retreating. They fought like wolves against bears, using speed and cunning against size and strength. But the odds were still terrible. Human ships began to fall. The warship Guardian exploded with all hands lost. The destroyer Courageous was cut in half by fire. Fighter after fighter died, their pilots giving their lives to protect Earth. Watch the casualty reports scroll across his screen. Hundreds dead, thousands more wounded, but they were winning. Slowly, painfully, they were winning. "Sir, the fleet is retreating," Brandon reported. "They're pulling back." Daniel checked the tactical display. They had lost over 300 ships. Their formation was shattered. Their command structure was gone. They were running. "Let them go," Daniel ordered. "Don't pursue, we've hurt them enough." The fleet to the edge of the solar system. They regrouped there, licking their wounds, trying to understand how they had been defeated. On the command center, exhausted humans watched them go. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. But the cost had been terrible. 23 human warships destroyed. 41 fighters lost. Over 3,000 casualties. Brooks was among the dead. He had sacrificed himself to protect a civilian evacuation ship, ramming his damaged vessel into a cruiser to buy them time to escape. Daniel stood alone, looking at the tactical display. They had won the battle, but the war wasn't over. The Empire was vast. They could send more fleets, more soldiers, more weapons. Lisa Morgan joined him. "The Empress is contacting us, herself. She wants to negotiate." "Negotiate?" Daniel asked. "After all this?" "She watched the battle," Lisa said. "She saw her Grand Armada defeated. She saw the resistance spreading across her empire. She knows what this means." Daniel nodded slowly. "Set up the call. Let's hear what she has to say." The activated, a female appeared. She was older than the others with more intricate silver markings. Her black eyes showed something the others hadn't. Wisdom and perhaps respect. "Commander Hayes," Empress said. "Ambassador Morgan, you have accomplished something I thought impossible. You defeated the Grand Armada." "We defended our home," Daniel said simply. "Yes," agreed. "And in doing so, you inspired my empire's subjects to rise up. 4 worlds are in open rebellion now. More will follow. Your resistance has fractured my empire." She paused. "I could send more fleets. I could fight this war until every human is dead. But I have learned something today. I learned that the empire made a grave error 50,000 years ago." "What error?" Lisa asked. "We thought we created you," said. "We thought genetic engineering made us your creators, but we were wrong. We gave you the raw materials. Earth made you what you are. Your harsh world, your constant struggles, your refusal to surrender. Those things created humanity, not us." She looked directly at them. "You don't belong to us, you never did, and I was a fool to try to reclaim you." "What are you proposing?" Daniel asked. "Peace," said. "A treaty, recognition of human sovereignty, an end to this war before more lives are lost." Lisa stepped forward. "What about the other species you've enslaved? Will you free them too?" Was silent for a long moment. "That is more complicated, but yes, I will begin negotiations for their independence as well. Your rebellion has shown me that empires built on subjugation cannot last. They crumble eventually. Better to transform willingly than to be destroyed." Daniel looked at Lisa. She nodded. "We accept," Daniel said. "Send your diplomats, we'll discuss terms." The transmission ended. Was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. "It's working. The rebellions are growing. 6 worlds now, maybe more coming." Brandon Cooper looked out at the stars. They had won, not just for Earth. For everyone, 3 months after the Battle of Earth, Daniel Hayes stood at the memorial site on Luna. The monument was simple. A black stone wall with 3,000 names carved into it. 3,000 humans who died defending their freedom. Each name represented a life. A person with dreams, with family, with a future that was cut short. Admiral Brooks' name was near the top. Daniel touched the letters gently, remembering his mentor, had taught him everything about command, about tactics, about what it meant to lead people into battle. The old man had died saving civilians, ramming his damaged ship into a cruiser without hesitation. "He would be proud of what we accomplished," Ambassador Lisa Morgan said quietly. She stood beside Daniel, also looking at the names. "I know," Daniel said, "but I wish he was here to see it." The Treaty of Free Peoples had been signed 2 months ago. Empress and Lisa had negotiated for weeks, working out the details. The treaty recognized human sovereignty. It established Earth as an independent world, free from control. It also set a precedent for other species to seek independence. The treaty was more than just words on paper. It represented a fundamental shift in how the galaxy worked. For thousands of years, the Empire had ruled through force. They conquered worlds and enslaved populations. Now they were learning to coexist with free peoples. The rebellions are still spreading, Lisa said. 8 worlds have declared independence now. They are negotiating with 6 of them. 2 are still fighting. Will the Empire survive? Daniel asked. I think so, Lisa said. But it won't be an empire anymore, is transforming it into a federation. Equal partners instead of masters and slaves. It's going to take time. There will be resistance from the old guard, but the change has begun. They walked along the memorial wall, reading names. So many names, so many lives given for freedom. Do you think it was worth it? Daniel asked quietly. Lisa looked at him sharply. You're asking if 3,000 deaths were worth our freedom. Yes. Daniel, Lisa said firmly. Every person on this wall chose to fight. They knew the risks. They fought anyway because they believed freedom was worth dying for. Don't dishonor their sacrifice by questioning it now. Daniel nodded slowly. She was right. He knew she was right, but command meant carrying the weight of those deaths. Every order he gave had led to casualties. He would carry that weight for the rest of his life. They left the memorial and took a shuttle back to Earth. The planet looked beautiful from orbit, blue and green and white. Home, worth fighting for, worth dying for. Doctor met them at the landing site. She looked excited, which was unusual for the normally calm scientist. I've been analyzing data from the archives, said. Gave us access as part of the treaty. You need to see what I found. They followed her to the research center, pulled up holographic displays showing genetic data, historical records, and archaeological findings. The seeded 12 worlds with modified humans, explained. We knew that, but look at what happened to those populations over 50,000 years. She showed charts and graphs. 6 worlds died out completely. The environments were too harsh. 3 worlds survived but remained primitive, hunter-gatherers who never advanced. 2 worlds developed basic agriculture but nothing more. And Earth, Daniel asked. Earth was supposed to be the harshest test, said. They expected us to fail. They thought the environment was too hostile for sustained civilization, but look what happened instead. She pulled up human history. Cities, art, science, philosophy, mathematics, medicine, space travel. We didn't just survive, we thrived. We built civilizations that surpassed the in creativity and innovation. Why, Lisa asked. What made Earth different? The harshness, said. Earth challenged us constantly. Every generation had to be smarter, tougher, more adaptable than the last. We evolved not just biologically, but culturally. We learned to cooperate. We learned to solve problems. We learned to never give up. She smiled. They made a mistake when they chose Earth as their harshest test. They created something they couldn't control. They forged humanity in fire and then forgot about us. When they came back, they found something completely unexpected, a species that refused to be conquered. Daniel studied the data. It made sense. Humans had always been survivors. That was their greatest strength. Not technology, not weapons, just the stubborn refusal to quit. What about the other species in the Empire? He asked. The ones seeking independence, what are they like? Pulled up files on 4 species. They are amphibious. They're excellent engineers but not warriors. The Xin are with hive-based social structure, very intelligent but not aggressive. They are herbivores, peaceful and artistic. They are avian, focused on trade and commerce. None of them are fighters, Daniel observed. No, agreed. That's why they submitted to rule. They didn't have the will or ability to resist. But watching humanity fight changed something in them. They realized resistance was possible. If humans could stand up to the Empire, maybe they could too. Lieutenant Brandon Cooper joined them. He had been promoted to captain after the battle. At 24, he was now commanding his own squadron. The responsibility had aged him. He looked older, more serious. Commander Hayes, Brandon said, we have a situation. He is under attack, who refused to accept the treaty. They're bombarding the planet. Daniel's face hardened. How many ships? 30 warships, led by an admiral named. He's calling the independence movement a rebellion against rightful authority. Get me, Daniel ordered. The Empress appeared on screen minutes later. She looked troubled. Commander Hayes, you've heard about the attack on. Yes, Daniel said. What are you doing about it? My forces are moving to intercept, said. But they won't arrive in time. We'll destroy several cities before we can stop him. Then we'll stop him, Daniel said. Looked surprised. You would defend that they are not human. They're asking for freedom, Daniel said. Same as we did, same as everyone deserves. If we only fight for human freedom, we're no better than your empire used to be. He turned to Brandon. How fast can you get a strike force to? 12 hours with quantum drive, Brandon said. Do it, Daniel ordered. Take 6 ships and 3 fighter squadrons. Captain Torres will go with you in the nightfall. Stop those ships, protect them. Brandon saluted and left quickly. Daniel turned back to, You need to learn the same lesson we taught your Grand Armada. Freedom isn't just for humans, it's for everyone. Nodded slowly. You are right, and your intervention will send a strong message. Humanity stands with the free peoples. That will mean more than any treaty. The transmission ended. Lisa looked at Daniel with respect. That was the right call. We can't just defend ourselves. We need to defend others too. Would have done the same, Daniel said. 12 hours later, Brandon Cooper and his strike force arrived at. The planet was under bombardment. Ships were firing on cities below. Defenders were fighting back, but their weapons were weak. They were engineers, not warriors. All ships engage, Brandon ordered. Protect those cities. The human strike force hit the hard. Captain Torres used the nightfall to disable their command ship's shields. Brandon's fighters struck precisely, targeting weapon systems. The 6 human warships provided covering fire. Admiral's forces were caught off guard. They had expected an easy target. Instead, they faced humans defending their allies. The fight was short and brutal. 15 ships were destroyed. The rest retreated. Brandon contacted the leadership. This is Captain Brandon Cooper of Earth. The threat is over. You're safe now. The leader appeared on screen. She was amphibious with smooth blue skin and large eyes. Captain Cooper, you saved our people. We are forever grateful. You don't need to be grateful, Brandon said. You need to be strong, keep fighting for your freedom. We'll stand with you. The leader nodded. We will. Humanity has shown us the way. We will not surrender. News of humanity's intervention spread quickly across the galaxy. 6 more species declared independence from the Empire. They knew now that they wouldn't face the Empire alone. Humanity would help them. Governor Price of Mars contacted Daniel with news from the colonies. We're seeing an influx of refugees, species fleeing territory. They want to settle in human space. They trust us to protect them. How many? Daniel asked. Thousands, said. Maybe more coming. What should we do? Daniel thought about it. Humanity had fought for freedom. Now others wanted to share that freedom. Could they turn them away? Accept them, Daniel said. Set up refugee centers, give them shelter and safety, help them build new lives. We're becoming more than just defenders of humanity, observed. We're becoming defenders of freedom itself. Yes, Daniel agreed. I think that's what we were always meant to be. 3 years passed. The galaxy changed in ways no one expected. The Empire transformed into the Federation. 14 species gained full independence. 8 more gained autonomy within the Federation. The old ways of conquest and slavery were ending. Earth became the center of a new alliance called the Galactic Coalition of Free Worlds. 23 species joined. They shared technology, resources, and mutual defense. They built something new, something based on cooperation instead of domination. Daniel Hayes retired from active military service. He was only 47, but he had fought enough battles for one lifetime. He took a position as an advisor to the Coalition Council, teaching others the lessons humanity had learned. Ambassador Lisa Morgan became the Coalition's first Secretary General. She worked tirelessly to mediate disputes, negotiate treaties, and build bridges between species. She was good at it. The galaxy was more peaceful because of her work. Doctor continued her research into human evolution and alien civilizations. She published papers that changed how species understood their own development. She showed that adversity could create strength, that challenges could forge greatness. Captain Brandon Cooper commanded the Coalition Defense Force. At 27, he was young for such responsibility, but he had proven himself in battle. He had shown courage and skill. He led the defense forces that protected free peoples across the galaxy. Captain Torres trained new pilots in stealth tactics. Her methods became standard across the coalition. Every species learned from human innovation and adaptability. Engineer designed weapons and defenses that kept the coalition safe. His quantum disruption technology was adapted and improved. Other species contributed their own innovations. Together, they built something stronger than any single species could achieve alone. They built a monument on there. It showed a human and a standing together. The inscription read, "To humanity who taught us that freedom is worth fighting for." Similar monuments appeared on other worlds, species who had won their independence because humanity showed them it was possible. They remembered. They honored the sacrifice. On Luna, the memorial wall was expanded. More names were added, humans who died defending other species, who gave their lives so that others could be free. The wall stood as a reminder of what freedom cost and what it was worth. Daniel visited the memorial on the 5th anniversary of the Battle of Earth. He touched its name again. The old man would have loved seeing what humanity had become. Not just warriors, not just defenders of Earth, but champions of freedom for all species. Lisa found him there, still thinking about the battle. Always, Daniel admitted, it changed everything. Yes, Lisa agreed. We proved something important that day. We proved that no species should ever bow to another, that freedom is a right, not a privilege, that tyranny can be defeated. She looked at the names on the wall. They died for more than just Earth. They died for an idea, the idea that all beings deserve to be free. Daniel nodded, and that idea spread. It changed the galaxy. It's still changing the galaxy, Lisa said. Every day more species join the coalition. Every day more people choose freedom over safety. That's their legacy. That's what they died for. They stood together in silence, honoring the dead, remembering the battle, thinking about the future. Brandon Cooper joined them. Behind him were captains from a dozen different species. Zinn and others. They had come to pay their respects at the human memorial. "Commander Hayes," Brandon said, "we're here to remember those who fell. All of us owe our freedom to humanity's sacrifice." The alien captains bowed deeply. It was a gesture of profound respect. Daniel felt emotion rising in his throat. "Humanity didn't fight alone," he said. "We fought first, but others joined the fight. Together we changed the galaxy. Together we proved that freedom is stronger than tyranny." He looked at the assembled captains from different worlds. "Your people are free now, not because we gave you freedom, but because you had the courage to claim it. We just showed you it was possible." A captain stepped forward. "Captain Cooper saved our world, but it was humanity's example that inspired us to resist in the first place. You showed us that even small species can defeat empires. That will matters more than strength." "What will you do with your freedom?" Daniel asked. "Build," the captain said. "Create, cooperate, show the galaxy that free peoples can accomplish more than empires ever could." The other captains nodded agreement. They understood. Freedom was only the beginning. What they built with that freedom would determine their future. As the sun set on Luna, casting long shadows across the memorial, Daniel thought about the journey humanity had taken. From a single planet to galactic champions. From fighting for their own survival to defending others. From bowing to no one to helping others stand tall. They had come to reclaim Earth. They had assumed humans were still primitive, still controllable, still theirs to command. They learned differently. They learned that humanity bows to no one. But more importantly, they learned that humanity would help others stand. That freedom was not just a human value, but a universal one, that any species could resist if they had the will. The galaxy was changing. The old empires were fading. New alliances were forming. Free peoples were building a future based on cooperation and mutual respect. It had started with humanity's refusal to surrender. With Daniel's tactics, with Lisa's words, with Brandon's courage, with skill, with innovation, with sacrifice. But it continued because others found their own courage, their own will to resist, their own determination to be free. Earth was no longer alone. Humanity had allies across the galaxy, friends who shared their values, partners who stood with them against tyranny. Daniel looked at the stars and felt hope, real hope for the future. Not just for humans, but for all species. They had come to reclaim Earth. They learned humanity bows to no one. And in learning that lesson, they sparked a revolution that freed the galaxy. The memorial wall stood silent in the lunar night. 3,000 names, 3,000 heroes. They had given their lives for freedom. Their sacrifice had changed everything. Daniel saluted the wall one final time. Then he turned and walked back to the shuttle. There was work to do, species to help, freedom to defend, a galaxy to rebuild. Humanity had proven they bowed to no one. Now they would help others stand tall as well. The future was bright, the future was free, and humanity would make sure it stayed that way. "We did it," he said quietly. "We really did it." "Yes," Daniel agreed. "We proved that humanity bows to no one." Brandon Cooper looked out at the stars. Tomorrow, 1,500 ships would arrive. Tomorrow, humanity would face its greatest test. Tomorrow, they would prove whether they truly deserved freedom or whether they would be conquered. He thought about the 8 pilots who died tonight. He thought about all the people depending on him to fight well, to fly well, to survive. He thought about Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel, beautiful and fragile and worth protecting with his life. "Tomorrow we show them," he said quietly. "Tomorrow we show them what humanity really is." Was still studying her data. "The other colony worlds," she said quietly. "The ones that accepted authority. They're going to hear about this. They're going to see that resistance is possible." Lisa smiled. "We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for everyone they've ever enslaved." Daniel nodded. "Then we'd better win." Looked at the plan. His eyes widened slightly. "That's insane." "Yes," Daniel agreed. "They'll never see it coming. That's the point." The countdown had begun. 48 hours until the deadline. 48 hours to prepare for war. Daniel watched the alien fleet and felt no fear, only determination. They had come to reclaim Earth. They would learn why that was impossible. They would learn that humanity bows to no one.